Oh hey, the thumbnail looks like a Storm video, and there's a bunch of Storm footage here. You may wonder if I ask him for permission to use his videos. Of course not, I don't ask for things. I told Storm I'm using them. So, we recently got a W outer and she's... yeah. I've seen a lot of Doom posting about how she power creeps everything and that's horrible. And I'm here to tell you why power creep doesn't bother me. Don't get me wrong, I love Doom posting, by no means stop doing it. Whining about stuff you don't like is fun. My personal favorite operator to whine about is Dejan. Why does her S3 just have Guadia S3 stitched on top of it? My own relationship with 6 stars makes it funny to talk about power creep. Remember when the game was balanced and Silverash and Aya were the strongest 6 stars? Yeah, I took one look at that and went, that's too much. And then played with 4 stars only for the next 4 years. The new Imba 6 stars are just a couple of funny Discord conversations to me. So with Walter,
Here's the job, 621.
yeah, that name doesn't work for me. Hobu W is accurate, but I don't like how it sounds. I'll just keep calling her W. Not like anyone is gonna use the other one again. Because her damage is so stupidly high, it has sparked a discussion about power creep on a scale I haven't seen since Chowder, so I thought I'd chime in. While power creep is almost universal for continuously updated games like gachas, it's always talked about as a problem and a negative. I don't think power creep is automatically a problem, though that would depend on the game. In a PvP gacha game it will kill it, because those are inherently pay to win, and it will burn people out. Having to spend on characters that become useless in a few months just isn't sustainable. It hurts non-gacha PvP games too, because it makes old characters unusable. For single player games like Ark Knights it's far less of an issue. There is no player on the enemy side that will metagame as hard as possible, so even if one operator is infinitely better than all the others, it doesn't mean you have to use them. To me, a new character in the gacha is like those games with 50 different $5 DLCs, the Paradox Interactive model. Only difference is that how much it will cost you is variable and based on luck. If you don't think some new operator is fun, then just don't get them. What's the problem? I've seen a few concerns that the difficulty of the game will increase to keep up with power creep operators. I've also seen a couple of people being disappointed that the difficulty of the game doesn't scale with the power of the new operators. Weird, it's almost like everyone has their own opinion. The two people that express that second opinion are shit out of luck though. While we've had plenty of power creep as happens with any long running game, and while the stages have become harder over time, it's been extremely gradual and has long been overshadowed by 6 star power scaling. Other than Design of Strife, I suppose, which is a widely hated outlier. Every event can be cleared with low-level operators without relying on 6 stars. For some H stages or challenge modes, that's a massive pain in the ass or outright impossible, but H stages are bonus stages for higher leveled accounts. They're not meant to be new player friendly exactly. That being said, Chapter 14, in contrast to its extremely power creeped operators, is one of the easiest in the game. H14-4 has already been beaten with Elite 1 level 1 4 stars. Mostly because it's a bugfest, but still, that's a feat that's impossible on stages like H103, H11-4 or H12, well, literally all of them. If you look at the stats of event bosses, you can notice they're all relatively close, and there is usually some mechanic that prevents you from just instantly killing them. The thing with 6 stars is that you don't need to read the mechanic. You don't have to care about how it works at all, just drop Texas, Mjolnir, Nero Suter on the boss and watch it disappear. It might be a bit more effort than reading what the boss does, but you'll win regardless. W doesn't really change that much. I'm sure any old player knows that if you bring a squad of leveled 6 stars to any stage, you'll win easily. I play with only 4 stars, but it's hardly that different. If you've watched me stream clearing events with 4 stars, you'd notice I make it through without using my brain too much. Most stages are a breeze if I use a full squad, and only a few of them give me pause. There is no precedent for the game getting notably harder to accommodate W's broken ass. So yeah, if you don't like W, don't use her is a reasonable response to worries about power creep affecting stage difficulty. Another complaint I've seen is that her design is boring, big numbers for the sake of big numbers. And yeah, I agree there. If all the future operators are gonna be W level of power, they will feel the same to use. Wogus, who came with W, is also super strong, but not to the same degree, and at least he does the cool Matrix thing with his S3, something that is currently unique to him. Having an operator that can shine in one specific circumstance is much more interesting design than W doing infinity damage. In a few years we'll get operators that do infinity plus 2 damage and WFO of the meta wagon, while Wogos would still be able to do something cool against some specific enemy. If I were to try and play Devious Advocate, anytime some 6-star comes out that doesn't power creep everything before it, you will see a bunch of people complaining about how bad the operator is. If AG will get complaints for making operators that don't power creep, and AG will get complaints for making operators that do power creep, then they might as well do the thing that brings the money home. According to an anonymous soup, there are many players that enjoy just exploding bosses with no effort, and that's great fun. I can sympathize. I too enjoy being super overpowered and destroying everything in games. But the setup is important to me. If I could just push a button and win, that's no more fun than brushing my teeth. It's mundane, anyone could do it instead of me. I need to struggle and strategize to achieve it. The effort spent makes the victory sweeter. I like playing Ark Knights. It's a fun game. Every event has some new goofy mechanic you need to deal with and plan around. There are so many enemies that all do different things and you need to handle in different ways. The variety is great. Even after playing it for years, I can still get surprised. But if I were to use a bunch of 6-stars that one-shot everything, I can hardly interact with the mechanics. In a way, strong operators reduce the gameplay variety because the enemies can't keep up. Have you heard the story of the Gordian knot? There was a very complicated knot that was very hard to untie. Alexander the Great came to the knot, took one look at it and then hacked it to pieces with a sword, using brute force instead of cunning. The first time I understood how strong 6-stars are, they felt like Alexander. I had started the game recently and was struggling to beat the stage in chapter 6 that threw a bunch of possessed throwers at you. 6-5 challenge mode, I think. My account was new and I barely had leveled up defenders or medics, so tanking the last wave of elite possessed was a real struggle. Now I was relatively not brain damaged back then, so after being stuck on the stage for a bit I looked up a guide. Some low rarity guide or other. The low rarity guide to the last wave was deploy a need to Silver Rush, press the red button and win. It felt so boring. It was like watching an interesting puzzle get hacked to pieces by some albino asshole. It was at that point that I lost any interest in new 6-stars. I E1 maxed a couple of defenders, checked which 4-star medic heals the most, it was Susuru obviously, and then beat the stage with 4-stars. I've played 4-stars only ever since. Over time as my roster grew stronger, I felt that the full squad of 4-stars is a bit much, and so I started cutting down the number of operators, and eventually ended up trying to do every stage with as few 4-stars as possible. That way I could play around and experiment with all the new mechanics the game throws at you at every new event. As I'm finishing this up I realize I haven't talked about W at all. She does infinity damage and is invincible, an operator with no weaknesses. There isn't anything interesting to talk about in this kit. Instead I want to share a great point the Amiya sim praised a while back. All the higher tier 6-stars do infinity damage, but the new ones also cannot be killed. Dejun is invincible during skill and stops enemies from attacking her for some reason. Why the fuck does she do both? W is perma camouflaged, the new operators just can't die. Doing more damage doesn't matter much since there is no shortage of damage. The real power creep is in survivability. The new operators just can't be killed. In the end, my conclusion on W is such. She is the best operator in the game and makes the game too easy. But it was already easy to win with a few well-built 6-stars. W does nothing to change that apart from adding a new name to those few 6-stars. In time, we'll get new broken 6-stars that will replace her. So if you don't enjoy playing with the broken 6-stars, but enjoy Ark Knights gameplay, it will get more and more important to find your own fun, instead of hacking the puzzle to pieces every time.